Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, the podcast that explores the life-changing potential of solo travel, intentional travel, and location-independent working. Whether you're an aspiring digital nomad or simply want to boost your confidence through epic travel experiences, I'm here to motivate and inspire you to go after all your wildest dreams. I'm Jessica Grace Coleman, author, travel transformation coach, founder of Flip the Script Travel Transformation Services, and your host for the Travel Transformation Podcast. Travel changed my life. Now let's change yours. You ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, where we talk all things travel and all things transformation. Today I have a special guest with me, and it is special because we're actually in person. Actually all of my interviews so far have been via Zoom, so this is quite cool. I just want to point out that though I am traveling and I've got a very small travel mic, and as I said in the episode last week, the sound might be a bit all over the place because we're kind of doing this in a bit of a haphazard way. I've got the laptop balancing on a random chair. We're in a tiny room with no windows open because of the sound. So please bear with us, but hopefully you can hear this okay. So my guest today is Sunny. Hello, Sunny.
Hi. Hi, Jess.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing alright. Just had lunch and then I'm a little bit full, but I think that makes the whole conversation more interesting, hopefully.
And you had your leftovers, right? You cooked for us yesterday, a lovely Korean meal, which was amazing. I went into a food coma afterwards.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I was a little bit worried about the amount of the food I cook and also if you're going to like it or not and everything. But you guys enjoyed it so much, I was very impressed.
Yeah, you underestimated our ability to eat that much food.
Absolutely, I did. Absolutely.
Okay, so just to explain to everyone, we are in a house at the moment in South Africa in Kalk Bay, near Cape Town. It is an Airbnb, but we've sort of taken it over as a sort of mini co-living, I guess you could call it, because we're all digital nomads and we're all working from here. And there's currently 5 of us, but there will be 7 of us and then 6 of us, and then sadly Sunny has to leave and she gets replaced by someone. No.
Oh, yeah, sadly.
So that's what we're doing, and we're currently in one of the bedrooms because it's one of the smallest rooms and hopefully the sound will be better in here. So, how are you liking South Africa so far? I know you've been here a lot longer than I have.
Yeah, but in the end, you're gonna get to spend much longer time here because my time without a visa is only allowed for 30 days, while yours is 90 days. And that is how I could express about South Africa, because I think it is a really shameful thing that I can only stay here for 30 days because South Africa is so amazing, so beautiful. I was so impressed that how South Africa, especially I only spent time in Cape Town so far. This place literally has everything I want in my lifestyle. And if I get to stay here for years of time, that would be fantastic. I constantly think that this is just perfect place. So yeah, I am very much impressed by Cape Town, South Africa. And hopefully I can come back in the future with longer time period, which means I have to get a 3 months visa. Very difficult, but fingers crossed.
Is it doable though?
So yeah, I actually questioned a few times to the High Commission of South Africa, located in Spain and in London and in South Korea. Every person I talked to actually gave me a little bit of a different stories about the procedure and all. But once I have all the documents ready, and if I have enough time to, wait until the visa comes out, then yeah, that should be okay. But I also read a few blogs saying that they booked the flight, they waited, but then in the end, they didn't get the visa until the last moment. And it was already too late to change the flight. And they were so frustrated because they didn't know what to do about it. So in the end, they just flew and then illegally stayed a month or two longer and then came back. But then that is alright probably for some of the people because South Africa is such a far place from South Korea. So it's not like you're going to come here very often.
Yeah.
But in my case, breaking a rule is not even considered as an option because I want to come back here often. And I am not like any other person who just come here every decade, but I want to come here much more often than that. So yeah, I'm not thinking about it only legit, legal way. Yeah.
No, I hope you get it sorted.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you mentioned South Korea then. So for our listeners, you're from South Korea, but you are a digital nomad essentially. You move around.
Yes.
And don't have a fixed home base.
No.
Can you tell our listeners what you do for work and how that allows you to have this lifestyle?
So I am currently having 2 jobs, and my main job is law firm manager. So I'm working for a law firm located in Las Vegas, Heesun Law Firm, and then the managing partner lawyer is actually my friend, and she and I have been working together since 2018. And at the beginning, actually, like, even though the practice was like a fully remote and everything, I was not working like many hours. But then, like, I saw the potential that this could grow big. And because I already know her, that how capable she is. And I realized that in the end, when the workload grows and everything goes well, I will be able to fully remote traveling and working. So that was the reason why I was holding on to, on top of back then I had a full-time job. So on top of that work, I had this part-time work, and then I maintained it over about like 10 months. And then when the workload became a little bit, more, so that it would be able to support me at least a partial amount of my traveling costs, I decided to test the water. And that was 2019, around August, and then I decided to travel with work together, and then I realized that that is doable, and I can do it. Once I have the assurance, I prepared everything so that I would be able to get another work, so that on top of the law firm work, I could make more salary. And so when I finished every preparation of it, COVID hit.
Of course.
Yeah.
Great timing.
I know. So that actually took me back home for 2 years, but that was a great time because I could see how I can balance everything between the work and saving and everything. I actually could save quite a lot of money during that time. So after that one was over, I was like, you know what? I'm ready to be back again. And that was 2022 May. So I was back on digital nomad journey, but this time it was not only part-time. I was working, like, not full-time, but I was definitely working over 5 to 6 hours. I had 2 different jobs, and yeah, that was how I've been doing.
Nice. And the first place you went to after COVID was?
Well, I visited shortly in London to see my friends, but then afterward, because I planned all along during COVID that I would visit co-living communities. So first co-living community was Sun & Co, Havea, and then
that's where we met.
Exactly, that's where Chassie, you and I met, and I'm very grateful that happened.
Yay, me too. And we also met Irene in Sun & Co, and she's the one who organized this whole house in Kalk Bay, because she stays here a lot. And thank you, Irene, for bringing us together again.
Yes, she's the one who has a base here, which is, I'm so grateful. Like, everything she introduced me to in this country and in this city, it's just amazing.
I think it definitely helps having someone like a local show you around, rather than just turning up in a place and having other digital nomads show you around.
Yeah, because it is like I think one of the things about this being a digital nomad is that you, of course, want to connect with other digital nomad, but when you only hang out with digital nomad only, like, it can easily wrap you up in a bubble. And when you have actually like local people to hang out with, and like that leads you to go out of your bubble and connect with the place and people in a deeper level. And Irene definitely opened up that path for us, and it is such a great thing. Otherwise, there would be so many things that we wouldn't even know existed in this town. And yeah, like all the little events that every other digital nomad don't know, but we know.
Yeah, exactly. I love that about traveling too, and especially here in Kalk Bay. She keeps coming up with all these things that's going on. I was like, I would have no clue this was going on.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
really cool.
Exactly.
So you mentioned you started traveling with the intention to stay in co-livings. Why did you choose that? Was it for the money, the community, lots of other things?
To be honest, it is not for the money because, like, money-wise, co-living might not be the best option. When you are traveling around, there are so many cheaper accommodation that you can choose. And co-living are not always that cost effective. But when I previously mentioned briefly about how I tested the water, how I could like travel around with my job together. And when I was doing that, I was visiting the places that I've ever been to. So for example, Melbourne, Sydney, and New Zealand, those places, the places that I actually lived for years of time. And when I was visiting there, the reason is because that I have like a great friends group there, and then I just want to feel the vibe that I was feeling before and everything. But then like when I was explaining my situation and my lifestyle to my friends, like they understand everything fully and they are very happy for me and everything. But there is certain things missing. I could feel that very clearly. And I was wondering if that is coming from my craving to want to be connected with the people who are actually living the same lifestyle with me. And when I started to check those things on the internet, I could find there is this thing called co-living. So I was like, okay, I am going to try what this is. And then that's how I got to find Wi-Fi Tribe, Remote Air, and those are the co-living communities that actually have like a different multiple bases happening at the same time. But also there are award-winning, like nice co-living places, which has like a great facilitating skills, and they have a base, and then they're not going anywhere. They're always there. And I was like, looks good. I would love to be connected with the people who are having similar lifestyle so that I can share my struggle, their struggle. We can share similar kind of joy. We can hang out together, and then I could learn a lot of insights because there must be other people who are already living this lifestyle for a longer time. So yeah, that was the intention. And I also thought that once I get to connect with those people, then like all the information and insights that I would get and learn would actually help me to travel better. So that was also part of it too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and you can learn all kinds of things, like really fun things. Like there's a couple we're living with, Alex and Ali. They've been doing this for years and years and years. So they know all kinds of stuff. And just like the other night at dinner, we were asking them which festivals to go to, like which are the hyped up ones and which one are the cool ones.
Yeah.
And I'd never even heard of this tomato festival where you just throw tomatoes at each other, and now I want to go.
Only 4 years of like a ticket or something. I was like, yes, on my list.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you know, you learn random things like that, which I would never I'd never think to Google tomato throwing festival. So, yeah, learning all kinds of stuff. So you've been on the road constantly since then, since we went to London and then Spain.
Yes.
Do you get homesick for anyone or anything?
I don't think so. When I left home, so when I said left home, like it's not like I left home. I still have my stuff in my parents' house and my old flat and stuff, because my old flat is occupied by my brother right now. But since I was like 13 or 15, like around that age, I already knew somehow myself that I'm not going to settle down in Korea for good. And I always kind of thought that I'm going to leave abroad. I'm going to see a bigger world. I'm going to be out there. And that has been always in my mind. So when those ideas became like a concrete, more clear, I start to think that why I am not really entirely happy when I'm home. And the conclusion I reached is that like I know what kind of burden I would love to carry and what kind of burden I don't want to carry. And then whenever I go back home, there are definitely certain things that I feel really heavy on my chest. And I am not really willing to carry that home. So I actually never felt homesick. But
What about the food? Do you miss the food?
Food is actually probably the big thing. So after a few months of co-living, I was like, okay, I really want to have proper, legit Korean food. And then I went to a few restaurants in London with my brother. Oh my God, they were so pricey first, overly priced. And second, I guess I just chose the wrong one. They were not that great. I don't know. It was not really giving me the enough of feeling that like, oh my God, I feel like I'm home. Like it was not that vibe. I mean, like it was a bit sad. And then also at the same time, that gave me the notion that maybe I'm not going to feel that until I actually go back home. So food is probably the biggest one, but I try to make some Korean food whenever I feel like to. Like you had yesterday.
So good.
Oh, that is a tip of iceberg. So yeah, I don't really feel homesick much, but we'll see, because I've been a bit away from home only for now like 10 months by now. And after a few years, maybe I'll feel that. But also, at the end of February, I'm going to be back home, so.
You can stock up on the Korean food, right?
Oh, I'm going to be eating Korean food every single day. Literally.
So what would you say are the biggest pros and cons to the digital nomad lifestyle if someone's considering doing it, but they want more sort of information, like the good and the bad?
I guess first thing is that, in my opinion, I think many people are actually dreaming about digital nomad. But first, maybe they don't have the remote job. So they're trying to get a job. And in that process, probably you get to negotiate a lot of other things. What I meant by that is that when you want fully remote job, in the end, because of that component, you get to sacrifice many other stuff. So I guess that is one part. And then, like, I know, of course, there are many people who are very happy with their career path and everything. But I also know some people are actually believing that they can do better, get better if they go back to 9-to-5 corporate job. But because of what this, digital nomad, like a fully working remote, what kind of perks they can get and the kind of thing, actually they have to compromise. So probably that would be one thing. Another thing I would say is that it can be pros and cons. This is not for everyone. That it becomes clearer every single day to me whenever I meet people about this lifestyle, is that because this lifestyle requires so much of self-control and self-discipline. And when you are living 9-to-5 life, like, it's much easier. Like, you have certain routine and you don't have to think about it too much. Life is easy. Like, you get up, prepare yourself, and then go to work and come back, and then you have your free time. And then over the weekend, you're going to have fun. Here, if you don't have your own level of, like, a strong level of self-discipline and self-care and self-everything, you're going to screw yourself over. So, like, you're not going to meet your deadline. Your career might be ruined. You can easily spend a lot of money. You can gain a lot of weight. I already told you about this before. And, like, lots of things can go off the path that you think, because what you think can be really easy, but actually you do it, is a whole different thing. So, yeah, digital nomad life is not for everyone, especially if you feel like you're not really a type of person who can have self-discipline. Then think twice. Of course, I would always recommend you to try, but it's not easy. If you think this is just easy, dreamy, fun all the time, think again.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And, like, I'm quite good at being self-disciplined to an extent. But when you're in a new place and it's exciting and beautiful and there's great views out the window and there's all these places to see, you've really got to try hard to just set your boundaries and work when you need to work. And I'm still figuring that out. Like, it's not, like you say, it's not easy at all. But, yeah, like you say, you can just try it out. If you're in a position where you can with your work, try it out for a few weeks or a couple of months and try different places as well. Maybe you'll work better in one place than another. Like in Sun and Co and Javier, they have like the co-living house, and then they have a separate co-working space. So it's kind of like going to the office, even though it's like 2 minutes walk away. But that really helped me. So I could go there, get my work done, and then separate it from the house bit. So yeah, there's all different kinds of ways of doing it.
If I'm allowed to add one last thing about it, is that it's actually not about just digital nomad, but like entire, like a traveling thing, is that you can learn so much about yourself, and that's gonna be the greatest asset you get to have at the end of the journey. So, well, I'm not saying that if you don't travel, you're never going to learn about yourself, but like putting yourself into the different setting constantly and then challenge yourself, that's going to be like a really interesting process for you.
Okay, so you have a blog where you talk about your travels. I'm going to put the link in the show notes, but
thank you.
For the listeners, what is it called and where can they find it?
So it's called Reading Under the Moonlight. Basically, the reason why I named it that way is because that I used to read Under the Moonlight because my mom and dad forced me to go to bed, and then I was not allowed to read till late. That was when I was year 2. Yeah, because of that, I was like literally bringing like all those books and also comic books too, brought under the streetlights from the window. And yes, it was either Moonlight or the Streetlight I was reading under. And then that was how this title of the blog came up. And then, yeah, I'm sharing about my insight towards traveling, meeting people, life, and digital nomad life and everything.
Yeah, great. And on there, you've written a series of posts about co-living. So if people are wondering what the hell we're talking about when we keep saying co-livings, then you can go and read those and it will tell you. I mean, you've covered every aspect, I think, of co-livings. But just to talk a bit about it now, you've mentioned sort of things like the design of the space, the importance of that. And like in terms of the bedroom, workspace, kitchen, living room, access to nature, systems and organizations, communication, that kind of thing, facilitation, authenticity, community. There's so much stuff that goes into a co-living that I didn't really think about too much until I was like reading your blog, and I was like, oh, you're right. There's so many like moving parts to it, and you don't really think of that when you're staying there, because you think, oh, it's just like accommodation, but there's so much more to that. And I think we should explain, because we have things, when you're in an actual co-living, they usually do things like skill shares, masterminds. It's all about teaching people things you know and learning from them and trying to give more than you take and all that kind of stuff. And you mentioned the importance of a good facilitator, which you mentioned before as well. So for people who don't know, what is a facilitator in terms of co-living, and why is it so important, and what is their role in bringing everyone together?
So here I have to mention that how someone explain themselves as facilitators, and also how you define facilitator. Like every person would probably define it differently, and then like this is my personal opinion. So facilitator is someone who actually stays in the space, holding the space for people. When I say holding the space, that means like the people who are coming into the co-living, like not everybody is always super open-minded. Not everybody is super ready. Some people coming in doubt, some people coming in suspicion, and some people don't know what to expect. And sometimes it's way high expectation. Like everybody comes in different shape and different ideas. But then facilitator is the one who hands out the invitation to these people that you are safe here. You can be yourself here. You are allowed to share whatever you have in your mind, and we are gonna respect it. Like there's someone who let them know about those things. In my opinion, that person is the facilitator. And when the kind of person stays in this co-living space, when the person is holding the space, like letting everybody know that they can be opened up and then they would not get hurt. It is a safe space that we can do interaction in any possible way that we want to. And we're going to have Like whatever outcome that is, like we're going to be respected. Like when we know that this place is good place, then we can be free. We can be ourselves and we connect differently. Because it is very different. Like when you know that, oh, this person is going to hurt me, this person is going to use me, from that mindset, that kind of connection. And when you come to, oh my God, this person is beautiful, this place is beautiful, there are so many things, so much to learn. And also when you feel safe and you are yourself, then you also could easily have the mindset you want to share what you have. Like, for example, yesterday, I cooked for about an hour and a half, which I don't usually do that. Like, do I have 1.5 hours to just waste? Especially when you're digital nomad, time is really precious. But then you are willing to do that because you know that this place has people that you are willing to share part of you or all of you with these people. Because you know that the outcome of it is going to be beautiful. And that is all coming from great facilitation. So when you enter the place and you feel like, holy shit, why did I decide to come here? Like, this is a shit place. Or like when you meet people and then you were thrown off because of, I don't know, so far I haven't had really horrible co-living yet. But I think definitely there are certain atmosphere that co-living can give. And when facilitator is really good at their jobs, they can set the tone and mood and atmosphere around the place. And even if you are, like I said, like in suspicion or in doubt or in like a closed mind, depending on the facilitation, you can open up much easier and much quicker. So I think that is the role of facilitator, and good facilitating places, they have fantastic facilitators. They just magically work and then open you up like, take me. Like that kind of way. So yeah, I believe I was really lucky to meet such co-livings in my life and beautiful facilitators as well. And hopefully in the future, I would like to become one as well.
You would be great at a facilitator. I could see
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Definitely.
Sorry for the interruption, but I just have to tell you about Jessica Grace Coleman's new book, Intentional Travel Transformation. Boost your confidence, conquer your fears, and finally become the person you've always wanted to be, which is out now. This book is part memoir, part practical guide to help you transform yourself and your life through travel. Learn about Jessica's own tale of travel transformation, read unique transformation stories from the travel buddies she's met on the road, and make your way through her travel transformation framework, a method you can follow to create your very own bespoke travel transformation strategy. Your roadmap you can use to incorporate intentional travel into all your future trips. So, have you packed your bags yet? Because it's time to flip the script on your life and transform through travel. Get Intentional Travel Transformation now from Amazon, or head to www.traveltransformationcoach.com/books for more info. And now let's get back to the Travel Transformation Podcast.
Okay, so we mentioned meeting in Sun and Co, Javier. Which of the co-livings have you been to, and which has been your favourite so far? Because this is basically for me, I'm doing research for myself.
So far, after Javier, I went to Ansu co-living on the other side of Spain, Galicia. And then I went to Tuhani co-living, which is in Cyprus. And co-living pop-up retreat, that one was in Namibia, Wild Wi-Fi. And my favorite one so far is Ansu co-living in Galicia, Spain. Yes, that one was just beautiful.
What made that one so special?
So when I think of my co-living experience there, it is just perfect. Like, I usually don't say something is perfect because I don't believe in the concept of being perfect. And I've been working really hard to drop myself idea of perfectionism. So like never 100% or 0%. Like I always drop the idea of that. So yeah, when I lived in Ansu coliving, I should say 99% perfect. Because 100 is not the concept that I would like to have. But Ansu coliving is beautiful because everything was there. So what I am looking for in coliving is like, already you mentioned that how my blog post to cover all that, like space and design and good system and perfect facilitation and authenticity is all there. So when I say space and design, that means the building, all the facilities there, like a kitchen, room, mattress, and tables, co-working spaces, and leisure place, space and everything. They didn't lack any of it, except one biggest room. Every room has their own bed and ensuite, mattress comfy, even the shared room. I never, like you already saw me staying in a shared room in different co-living, and it was pretty tight. But here, even when you're naked, you're not going to be seen by other people in the room because like every bed is located in like a far distance enough. And then there is like other furniture and things covering yourself. So when you are naked in your bed, the other person covered by its closet and everything else, they can't see you. So even when you're sharing a room, you still could have certain level of privacy, which is fantastic. Oh yeah, and a co-working space is very nice as well because they have different types of co-living. So you have dog-friendly co-living, and there is no dog allowed co-living and co-working space. So like, I guess you're going to be, if you go over there, I know which co-working space. That also, Ansu co-living has many dogs. So they rescued some dogs and then they kept them. They're very, very, very lovely. And, what else? Oh, and when I think of the facilities, it is not about they have all the things I need, but it's also about how they are placed. So when you have loud space and then quiet place together, it's not going to be working very well. And when you want to have a space, and like if you get to see lots of people just going through the area, it's going to be difficult. But like how every space is located and then placed in Ansu co-living is just so great. I really admire Augustine. He is the owner of Ansu co-living. How he designed the whole place and how he's running it is fantastic. And the system is so well organized. You don't even need to be explained about how things are working because it's so easy to just recognize all the cabinet, all the space. Like it's so easy to just pick up. Like it's so reasonably well organized. So that is another thing. Facilitation is amazing. Like apart from owner staying in the co-living, he actually lives in his own house, which is right next to the co-living spaces. But there is also facilitator who is residing in the co-living. So there are always like someone who is holding the space for you, which is a wonderful thing. Like not every co-living space has that kind of like a large space for people, physically and mentally.
Yeah, definitely. And Ansu, that's in a more rural area, right?
It's very rural area.
Is that important to you? Because I prefer being in a quieter place, not just to get work done, I just generally prefer it anyways to being in a big city. So was that one of the reasons why you liked it as well?
Yes, absolutely. That was one of the things that I felt a lot because like after staying in a little bit busy places, I realized that I need some quietness. And like nature is biggest component for me. And then Ansu co-living is located like a secluded area in Galicia. Like Ansu itself is the name of the village. And like even in the village, the co-living is a little bit at the corner. So to go to the supermarket, nearest supermarket, you need to take the car, driving about like 15 minutes. But also like grocery shopping and the kind of thing, they just deliver it. So it's not too far. It is totally surrounded by the forest. Like the tree the trunk is so big, you can't even like have it in your arm. Like it's massive. The kind of trees are right there, right there. So yeah, it's amazing. And I used to like run every morning, like for about 30 minutes. And then you're going to have big forest and the river just like flowing right next to you. It is a beautiful area.
Wow. And this was the one with the pool as well, right?
They have a swimming pool.
You're really selling this to me. Like, make sure the pool, the dogs, I need to go there. You need to be on commission.
I think I should. Yeah, I know, right?
I just wanted to ask you something else you mentioned in your blog posts is about having boundaries and being aware of your own comfort zones, your own energy levels, not feeling like you have to say yes to everything out of FOMO because that can lead to burnout. So can you tell me more about this, and have you experienced this yourself? And why is it so important to be aware of your own levels of energy and all that kind of stuff?
So I noticed right away that this could be a big issue for many of digital nomads, because like when you are living on your own back home, then you have very good control over yourself, because you can easily be in your room and you don't have to talk to anyone. But when you are staying in co-living, like it doesn't matter if you are staying in your own room or you're sharing your room with other people. There are going to be constantly other people in the kitchen area, communal area. You're going to get to see them all the time. And your interaction is going to be like increasing a lot when you're staying in the co-living. And when you don't really know how to control your energy level, like how to engage with the people better. When I say better is like without using too much of your energy. Like if you don't know how to do that, if you constantly like invest your time and energy with every interaction that you have, you're not going to have any for yourself. I think I learned that more than ever. I think it was more like a confirming opportunity for me that how important it is. So I personally felt that it is important because I've seen people burning out a lot. And I also could sense that if I continue doing this, then I'm going to get there too. So there are a couple measures that I did for myself, which is also connected to learning about yourself and knowing about yourself, what you're good at, what you're not good at, and what is okay with you and not okay with you. Like those are the things that you constantly learn about yourself. And what I learned is that I definitely need my own time, but when can I have it? When nobody's up yet. That is easily the best time for me. So I woke up fairly early in the morning, and then I journal a lot and bit of a stretching and a kind of thing. That was my own time to recharge myself so that I can actually handle my interaction with other people during the day. So that was my own way I figured it out. And also I started to actually make it into my routine. And so when you already have an idea what you like and what you do like and do not like, then co-living space would be a great testing field. So when you think you know something about yourself, then you're going to test it at the co-living because there are going to be so many temptations. So when you say, okay, tonight I'm going to be working, this is going to be done. And then there's going to be somebody said, oh, there's a really nice restaurant and we want to go for dinner and then have a drink. And then you're going to be like, oh, maybe I just want to have dinner. And then without a drink, I'm going to come back and I'm going to finish the work. You know, that's not going to happen. So like, you briefly mentioned about FOMO, and yes, I talked about it a little bit on my blog post as well, but like it's real. That's why self-care, self-discipline is really important. Otherwise, you are not going to be happy even when you are following everyone and participating in all the events and everything. It's always the key is always having the balance and knowing about where your balance stands, because my balance point and your balance point is different. I wish I could explain everything much better, but knowing your boundary, testing your boundary, setting up your boundary, and practicing your boundary is very, very, very important to keep yourself having a balanced life and keep your sanity, basically. And I would like to say that co-living spaces would be the best field for you to practice.
I really like that. I like thinking of co-living spaces as like a testing ground. Like I've not really thought about it that way before, but it's totally true. And I mean, I've experienced this just in like the couple I've been to. Like you do feel like FOMO is definitely a thing, and you want to explore the area, you want to hang out with your housemates. But as well as that, you sort of feel a bit guilty for not going to things. You don't want to be thought of as being like the party pooper or someone who stays home when everyone else is going out. But sometimes you just need to do that for your own sanity, like you say, your own energy levels. And I'm sort of very conscious of that now, and just like not feeling bad saying no to things, because in the long run, you're going to be able to do more things when you're not burnt out, which is so easy to do in this kind of scenario, especially when you're in a new town or a new city and it's all exciting and new and you want to explore, but you've got to work. But like so many people to talk about work burnout and don't really think about social burnout, but it's just as much of a thing, if not more, for digital nomads, I would say.
For sure. What I like to add on that is always think of quality over quantity. So when you are making connection with other people and also keeping your boundary and like all of those interactions that you have, always quality is much more important than quantity. And actually, when you have a really good quality interaction, when you build really good quality connections with the people, not participating would still be fine because you know what you have. Like you had really great connection with certain people. And when they're going out, well, of course, like you would love to join them. But even when you don't, you know that that connection that you had is real. Because when it is, I think FOMO is coming from like not having like a good quality thing. When you have like a shallow, light only connections and then having that kind of interactions only, then when you are missing those opportunities, you would feel like, oh, I need to have more and more and more. But when you have a deep grounded, solid quality ones, then you know that it's real. So I would say always go for quality over quantity. And then even you are missing out quantity, you're fine.
Yeah, I like that. And also, like, if you're in a co-living, there's going to be so many people there. And in your daily life, you don't get on with everyone. You don't click with everyone. You don't spend all your time with everyone you meet. So there's no reason it should be different in a co-living.
Exactly.
So if you're thinking like, oh, I haven't really talked to that person. I don't feel like I've made the effort. Like, it's fine. You don't have to be, super deep with everyone you meet. It's impossible. You don't have enough time. So I think
be selective.
Yeah. And don't feel bad for not doing everything with everyone all the time.
Being selective is totally fine. And it's going to actually help you a lot.
Yeah, definitely. So co-living for me is all about community. And you again mentioned this in your blog post. And it's about building community and feeling like a part of a community. But when a lot of people think of community, they think of like their own local community and the place they live. Whereas it's a bit different with a digital nomad community, like a global community. So how do you see this type of community that we have as digital nomads? And does it feel kind of unstable to you because we're constantly moving around and meeting new people? Or like, how do you think of it as a community when it's not in the traditional sense? People who are always there, always physically close to you, do you think it's a different kind of community? Do you prefer this kind of community to like the traditional one, or what are your views on it?
I think it is hard to say that I prefer one over another, but I believe that digital nomad community is still very real community because in my opinion, community is a group of people who holds the same value and then they can work together towards same agenda or same goal. It doesn't have to be that we stay physically together, but as long as we hold the same value, then I think we can call that as community. I mean, I'm saying that the value, in my opinion, one of the biggest value that digital nomad community has is the openness and then growth and having fun. And I think those three are always, like, I think majority of digital nomad to be honest, I haven't seen one person who doesn't have those three components in them. And when I think of those things, it's really good enough for me that it is a community. And because of the fact that we're from that community, I think people are much easily helping each other, and we are much easily connecting with each other. And we are generating a movement, like a great force in this world, basically. So yeah, of course, I know that there are some like a bad connotation around the term digital nomad, and then there are not really great people out there calling themselves digital nomad and advertising themselves that way and actually harming some other people. But I personally believe that can still turn around, and we can impact even the local community who are staying in like at one place in great impact. One of the things that I loved about Ansu coliving was actually that. So this village is almost dying. There are not many people left. And because of this Ansu coliving, there are always like a digital nomad coming in. And instead of just building a wall and we just live our lives and then locals live their lives, Ansu coliving had a few projects to integrate the local people and the digital nomad together. And for example, they had this rural hackers program, which invites all the local kids to the co-living and then teach them how to code. And give them seminar about how to travel the world, because they never really had an idea and they never had anyone around them to travel internationally like this. And then telling them about there is big world out there, and then they have full freedom to do it soon. Like they're still in their parents' care, so it's different. But like when they grow up, there are those things available for them, like letting them know. And also like we invited this artist to the town, and digital nomad, this artist and the local people all joined together, and we painted a water tank in the town together, and we had a party. It was really beautiful thing, and we get to learn about the village history, how we can make more of a project together, and just this kind of interaction. I think it is all possible because digital nomad community has that growth, openness, and having fun as their core value.
I love that. I think that's a really important point to make, because so many people, obviously, including digital nomads, we worry about the effect we're having on the environment with our traveling, on local communities, even if we're not taking jobs from other people, like maybe we're, you know, we don't, but, you know, some people might be trashing the place or, you know, like all that kind of thing. And sustainability is an issue and all kinds of stuff. But like what you've just said in Ansu, if that co-living wasn't there, those kids in that community, in that village, they would not even be aware that this is a lifestyle they could aim for, let alone all the community projects you've done, helping out with like the water tower and everything like that. And that's like a real force for good there that just wouldn't happen if digital nomads didn't flock there because of that co-living. So I think that's a really important point to make, that it's not just about our global community, it's about mixing with local communities as well and helping them maybe in the future become part of the global community.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Cool. It's about sharing. Yeah. Sharing is caring, right?
Sharing is caring. Yeah. Okay, so just before we go, this is called the Travel Transformation Podcast. So personally for you, why do you think travel can be so transformative, and how has it transformed you personally?
I think I had written about this for your blog. Traveling still mean freedom for me. Like, especially in South Korea, everyone who just travels South Korea probably not going to feel it that much, but who grew up in South Korea wouldn't understand what it means not to be free. Like there's nothing you can do really about like making your own choices and stuff, because going through middle school and high school, you get to wear uniforms. Your hair always should to be short. Like, for example, my vice president of the high school, he was standing with the chopstick marked in the length. And then whenever he felt like one girl's hair is way too long, he just stick that one into the hair and then check. And then he always had scissors in his hand, and it was going over that length. He just cut it right there. I know it's really brutal. Even your life paths, what is a successful life? What is a happy life? You almost feel like you don't have a really choice and you have to follow the path. But traveling allowed me to be free and then see what I can be and who I actually am in nothing telling me that what I should be and kind of thing. So traveling freed me. Traveling let me be myself. And for that matter, I would be always grateful for the idea of traveling. So yeah, it is very informative because being free and being by myself is the greatest thing in the world.
It's like the most important thing in the world.
Most important thing for sure.
And like you say, you learn a lot about yourself just through traveling.
Yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that I actually like to be alone, to be quiet, to be many things really.
Yay, travel.
Yay, travel! Everybody travel!
So yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for interviewing me.
Thank you for taking time out of your work day. We did do this during load shedding, which is when all the power goes out. So we were like, we may as well do something productive when we don't have the internet.
Anyone who comes to South Africa, especially with your work together, be aware of load shedding.
Yeah. I'm kind of getting used to it though. When I go home, I'm going to be so confused when the power doesn't go off. I'm going to be like, oh,
really?
It's load shedding time.
Oh, I wouldn't even remember it. I'm like, can't even remember. Like, this is the norm.
Well, thank you very much. And until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Travel Transformation Podcast with me, Jessica Grace Coleman. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review and spread the word if you have friends or family who also want to transform through travel. For a chance of winning one of my books in ebook form, please review this podcast on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot or just your name to info@traveltransformationcoach.com or at Travel Transformation Coach on Instagram. I'll be picking a new winner each month, and you can choose between any of my non-fiction titles, including Write Your Life, Write Your Year, and Intentional Travel Transformation. You can find out more about me at traveltransformationcoach.com, where you can also get your free travel transformation guide. And until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.